Hey guys, I just wanted a quick jump in front of this week's video because it's something that I recorded actually a few years back. I had intended to do it and post it before the next live show because it's all about making a live sound. And at the time, the pandemic hit and everything, and my band, Answer Infinity, had our last show canceled. And finally now, this is the first one we're doing again. So anyway, the video's a couple years old, but here it is. It's still very relevant to how you program the Axe effects for making a good live sound. Oh, and if you're in the New York City metropolitan North Jersey area, Answer Infinity, my band, is playing at Debonair Music Hall in Teaneck on Saturday night. We're opening for Varsity, so come check us out. Hello, my friends. Today we have a special lesson kind of tip thing for all my Axe effects using buddies out there. And this one is specific about creating a sound for using live on stage with your band. I know there's a lot of videos out there about making different sounds and what the different amps are like and just the different effects units and all the cool stuff you can do with it. But I wanted to do something that's specifically for taking this unit and bringing it on stage. I play with a band called Answer Infinity, and we have been using Axe effects units since, just about when they first came out. I think it's almost a decade now that I've been using them on stage. And me and the rhythm guitar player AJ go right from the Axe effects units to the front of the house, to the PA speakers. We have no amps on stage. And in fact, our bass player goes direct as well. So everything is right to the front of the house and controlled by the sound man. We don't have all this noisy bleed on stage that makes for mush out in the audience. And sometimes it can feel like you're putting your life in a sound man's hands, especially if you're playing at a club where you didn't bring your own sound guy and the guy doesn't know your material or anything. So there's a couple things you have to do for setting up the sound so you know it's going to work as you go through the changes in the songs when a guy who's running the soundboard doesn't know where you need level changes and whatnot. And of course, there's other things that are specific to what happens live as opposed to what happens in a controlled studio environment that I'm going to talk about while we develop this sound here together. I'm going to switch to my webcam at the studio desk here and let you see what I'm doing on screen as well. And let's get to making the sound. Okay, so I've got Axe Effects loaded, I've got the Axe Edit loaded, I've got the basic first channel done. This isn't a 101 course on how to edit the Axe Effects. This is just about playing live sounds. So what I have here is a Bogner amp that I love and is the basis of my sounds through a 4x12 orange cabinet with an 87 on it. So, just dry mono. Got my basic guitar sound. Now on the Answer Infinity stuff, my rhythm sound, it's a little bit more distorted than that. I'm going to bring up the drive on the amp a little bit. I play a lot of, AJ's playing a lot of drop tune stuff, and I'm playing a lot of high, kind of stuff along with what he's doing. So I bring my drive up a little bit, not obnoxiously so, but just a little bit. Now, I like a little bit of delay. I use a lot of delay on my leads. I also like a little bit of room verb, but now when you're playing live, you're playing in a room. It's got some natural verb. I'm not going to stack verb on top of that. So I'm making a really dry sound and letting the room create the reverb effect. The other thing that happens in a studio environment that I don't do live is that there's no stereo sound going on here. I'm not going to stereo enhance this. I'm not double tracking in any way because when you're playing in a live situation, you've got giant speakers at far ends of a room. And if I have something that's like slightly offset on either side, it might sound great right from the middle if you're standing in a certain place, but I have a crowd of people standing in all different places in the room. So I kind of just want the same exact signal playing on both sides and sounding good from everywhere and not having any kind of weird phase cancellation or anything as it bounces around the room. Okay, so the first basic dry sound here without any EQing or anything. It's a little bit muddy. When you're playing live, you're playing very loud. Everybody kind of mushes together, of course. You're playing through PA speakers. They have a bit of a different response. So there's two things that I like to do. I want to roll back some of the bass that I would normally have on the guitar because I'm looking to punch through just in a certain area of the mids, and which is also something that happens when you're recording with a channel strip and the compression that you're doing. You're not really getting the exact sound that you hear through an amp in your ears. It gets messed with a little bit so that it fits into a mix. So I'm trying to emulate that a little. And I just roll the bass back usually somewhere in the 3s here. A little more. Down around 3. And the other thing I'm going to do is roll back the presence a bit in the treble. It's going to sound a little bit mushy like that. But remember, when you're playing live, the PA speakers are always going to be a little bit more tinny, I have found. And also, I'm sure you've had this happen when you're at a concert where it's so loud and there's certain frequencies that are just like daggers in your ears. And I don't want to ever cause that for anybody who's listening to me play. And nothing's popping out there and being particularly offensive. Now, there's one trick here that really helps with clarity and making sure all the notes I'm playing get heard. And we're just on the basic rhythm sound here, but it even matters for that, especially when, again, you're playing that, playing that high kind of stuff. Playing over the top of a low crunch rhythm like AJ plays. So let me show you what the trick is that I do there. And that is to route a clean signal around as well. So I'm just going to take an amp running in parallel here, but something that's just specifically meant for very clean sounds. I'll stick like a basic tweed. I'll connect it over here at the input, and then I'm going to connect it way over here. So now let me mute this so you can hear what I'm talking about. We'll bring the level all the way down. So I've just got over here, basic tweed amp. Turn the input drive down. Bring the level up. So I'm mixing a clean amp sound in as well. No need for a cabinet here because it's just clean. You can hear it's very mellow. Now I bring this back up and I'm going to work on mixing them so that it's just a touch. If I take this all the way out. All right, so it's a little bit bassy in there, so I'm going to go in here into the ideal settings and just pull the bass back. And on this one's where I can pull some of the trebles up because the clean trebles are not going to be like ear daggers, and I can get some of that high back that I needed. Yeah, so now I'm getting the high signals in a clean way that's not offensive, and I'm getting all the low signals I need as well, or mid signals I need to punch through a live mix. So now this is my basic rhythm sound. Simple as that, no effects. I'm going to save it. And that's my basic rhythm. Now I'm going to move on to the lead sound, which is based off of this sound as well, of course, and talk about a couple of little tricks I use there so it also sounds good live. Okay, there's two things I add to my live sound when I'm playing lead, and that is a little bit more gain and some delay. So let's put that in there. I'm going to put the gain in front of the amp. I will add a drive in front of it. Oops, got to put that on scene 2 there. Off. It's got a nice lot of signal in the mid area, which is again what sounds best on stage. No ear daggers, no mush, and a delay. Now, recording, I use a Pong delay all the time. I always go with a stereo delay. Live, that's just about useless because if you've got a delay that sounds good bouncing to either side, but you got somebody just standing on one side of the stage, they're getting a weird piece of the delay off tempo or whatever it is. We're not going to tempo sync any of this. I'm just going to do the basic of a delay here. But it's going to be a mono delay. That's important. In this case, I'm using a digital mono, and I tend to like slowish delays. I don't like a lot of repeat on it, so the feedback's going to go down. Now Now the delay can get very lost in a mix and live. I'm going to pump the delay mix up. It's going to get a little obnoxious, but then I'm going to fix it with a little bit of a pass filter. So I'm going to be way up here. Now you can hear that delay signal stepping all over the original. So I have to take the delay signal and use a pass filter on it so that I get less interference with the main thing that I'm doing. Okay, so I go over here to the EQ section, and I'm going to be cutting out the signal. I want that delay to sound almost mushy when it comes back. There it is. So I'm cutting out all the signals above 2500 hertz, 2542 there. It doesn't have nearly as much treble attack, and I can play without it stepping on itself. Still a little strong in the mix. I'll come back a bit. So the next thing I need to do is level check it from the scene 1. Well, I'll name it here. We'll call it lead and save that. And I got to level check it against the rhythm, this is a really nice feature of the Axe Effects, which we'll talk about in a minute. So when I go back to the scene, you see that it's added the two things. I have to turn those off and save them to the scene. Usually when you do this, you work backwards. You do your scene with the most stuff first and then work backwards to the thing with the least, but that wouldn't make sense in the video here. So you just have to turn the things off that you added later. So anyway, and then I go to the next scene. It's a little bit louder, but I wanted to touch even more, so I really jump out when I play lead. So I'm going to do that with just the level on, actually the drive pedal is all I need because it was close. I think we're good there. Switch to the lead. Yeah, I'm good. All right, so you can see the sound, just for my rhythm and lead, distorted sounds here. These aren't sounds I would use in the studio. They're a little bit fuzzy and EQ'd strangely and super mono, of course, like I said. But going through most PA systems in a studio, this is kind of what's going to cut through and work well, especially if you're in a band with a rhythm guitar player. And in my case, a rhythm guitar player who's playing a lot of drop tune stuff, like 7-string B, that kind of thing, and even low 6-string guitars with like a low E, which is down in the bass zone. It cuts through without being jangly. Now, there's one other sound I want to talk about here, and that's occasionally I have a clean sound that I go to. So how do I construct a clean sound that also is leveled right? So here I'm going to create another scene. I go up to scene 3, and this is where you make use of this channel thing over here, A, B, C, and D. So first of all, on scene 3, there's no drive, there's no delay. The amp here is not the amp I want for the clean stuff. I have an amp that's a split signal here for it. I'm going to combine that amp with the one I'm about to use. So here I'm going to go to channel B, which means that on this scene, it has one of 4 amps that it can use. It's switching to a different amp. And there's one here called USA Clean, I believe. Yep, there it is. That's the one I prefer for this. No cabinet change. Almost out of tune there. I've got, again, level match. Now, I'm playing in situations where I don't have my own sound guy a lot of the time, so I want to make sure that the levels, when I switch from rhythm to lead into clean, are already set, so a guy doesn't have to sit there trying to ride sliders. And I see that happen with bands that we play with all the time that are opening for us, or even when we're opening for them sometimes, some of them were touring acts, where the guys, if they don't have their own sound guy, all they're doing is clicking a distortion pedal for extra boost, or maybe their delay pedal, whatever it is they're looking for, and they really didn't do anything with the levels, and the sound guy's like rushing for it, and you can see them starting the lead, you can't hear it, and suddenly you can hear the lead, maybe it's too loud, and it's like, I don't want to have to count on the sound man who hasn't been with us the whole time to figure that out. I'm going to get the sounds and the Axe Effects exactly leveled the way I want. So the same thing here is true for the clean. Now, with my clean sounds, I do use a reverb. Room verbs, as I said, are just about useless in a stage situation unless you know exactly what kind of stages you're going to and you've set them up in advance for the rooms. But the exception to that is on these clean sounds, I use a really lush, like a cloud verb, an atmospheric verb. I'm going to add that in here. And these are going to sound about the same anywhere because they're well beyond the parameters of what a room is. And the type of music we play, these are the kind of delays that reverbs that I use. So this is a reverb that's specific to the Axe FX. I'm not sure how you would duplicate this on a pedal. I'm sure they're out there. And there is a bit of a stereo thing going on there, as you can hear. But I found that because it's so mellow, it works on any side of the room that you're in and sounds very good, no matter where you are in the crowd. This particular type of wash does not get lost to the room. And again, now I just have to level check it. I'm going to call it wet clean. And you also want to watch out for anything that's going to become jangly at the high volumes that are played in a live situation on a PA. So I am going to cut some of the high treble out of this. A little bit of that too. There we go. Take a little bit of the bass out so I'm not getting mushy with the bass player. Again, not exactly the sound I'd want to record with, but definitely the sound I want to use live. All right, so we save that. I'm going to have to turn the reverb off on the other scenes. If it is on, it looks like it's okay. It turned itself on there, turn that off. Save. All right, so I got my basic rhythm. And I've got my clean. It's a little bit too quiet. Oh, gotta turn the reverb back on. I am almost in tune, and it's so 1970 rock and roll playing like that. Yeah, now it's the right level. Then the lead pumps up. All right, I think we got it there. All right, guys, I hope that made sense to you and you understand what I'm doing there as far as creating a stage-ready sound. If you have any questions or comments, things you want to know about, things maybe I didn't cover and didn't think of that raised a question in your mind, of course, leave a comment below. And if you like what you see here and want to check out the other stuff, please like and subscribe, hit the bell button, all that good stuff. And check out the other stuff I have on Axe FX and guitar lessons in general. And until next time, guys, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.